Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast, episode 43, coming to you on the final day of April. East Carolina 26-19 after a midweek win, 42 over Elon, and traveling out to Wichita State this weekend. However, tonight, we're talking East Carolina baseball recruiting in the class of 2025. Perhaps the most recent commit for East Carolina is Jack Vogele. Jack, welcome into the show.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt, Jack. Obviously, as we were discussing off the air just a moment ago, this was all a very quick process over the last 3 to 4 weeks. And so you're obviously, a native of Loveland, Ohio, the greater Cincinnati area. And you began your career as a UC Bearcat and then obviously now at Walters State. So let's just, take us back before we dive into the here and now. Take us back to your childhood and then just your background with the game of baseball.
Yes, sir. So I always grew up baseball being my favorite sport. Diehard Reds fan. Loved watching Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Scott Rowland, that whole team growing up. I played on a travel organization called Midland Redskins. It's pretty predominant in the travel ball world from when I was 9 until I was 18 and finished with the Redskins. And in high school, I was lucky enough to win a state title and also win Ohio Player of the Year, and that's what ultimately led me going to University of Cincinnati out of high school.
And then during those years, obviously East Carolina and UC were both in the same conference in the American, and not only were they in the same league, but they were playing 6 times and in one case, I guess 8 times during COVID because of the way the American played 4-game conference series. So pretty crazy in that regard. East Carolina had also done the same thing with UConn. Very, very unique. But during those years, did you ever have the chance to see East Carolina play when they were there at UC?
Yes, sir. So actually, I entered the portal before East Carolina came into town, but when I was in high school, the week after I committed, East Carolina came down for a 3-day series, and I ended up going to 2 of the games, and I was able to watch the games. East Carolina ended up winning 2 out of 3, and it was definitely a good series when they came up here.
And before you chose the Bearcats, obviously that was kind of your hometown team, but who else, if anyone, did you consider?
It was either actually Walter State or UC out of high school. UC was out of high school, being the hometown team. That was where I wanted to go out of high school when they offered me. I thought it was a good fit with just being close to home.
Yep, that Bearcat program, obviously now in the Big 12, that's driven by football because obviously down through the years, and this is certainly no shot at UC, but East Carolina has had a lot more success in baseball. But unfortunately, those decisions are driven by other things. But taking a look at that initial year of college baseball, give us a Cliff Notes version of what it was like being a Bearcat.
Yes, sir. No, it was definitely nice. Just coming in, there's a lot of talented players. As you see now, they're doing well in the Big 12. A lot of the guys that were my roommates and best friends are still there now. And it was great getting to college baseball set and being able to have more resources and just facilities that you don't have when you're in high school, being able to hit off the machines, being able to have 24/7 access to weight room. And I played a lot of basketball in high school, so getting into the weight room when I got into UC was probably like one of the bigger things that's helped me get to where I am today.
And then you made the decision. You mentioned Walters State and a very tradition-rich junior college program in the Division I ranks of JUCO baseball. And when that time came to either stay at UC or head to Walters State, what all went into that call?
Yes, sir. So actually, my Midland coach when I was growing up played at Walter State, and he went from Walter State to Florida State. So he knew Coach Shelton for about 20 years, or probably 15 years at this point. And he was just like, with your situation with the COVID guys and everything, I think it would be best for you to just get the reps and become the player that you think you can be by developing with reps and just doing the junior college circuit of reps, 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 reps.
So there at Walter State, you're winding down your second season there with the, I believe, what, Senators.
Yes, sir. Senators.
So each season you've hit over 430. Last year you had 4 bombs, 41 driven in, 18 doubles. This year you've seen a significant increase in your power numbers. So with those home runs going to 15, and you only hit one in your first 18 games, but 14 in your last 36. You've really been on a tear. 80 RBIs and 20 doubles. Uh, and then something that kind of jumped out to me that I was not expecting to see, that you swiped 18 bags also.
Yes, sir. No, what's led to the big power surge was in the summer I decided not to play summer ball and kind of retool my swing a little. I was kind of top spinning balls to the pool side, and I wanted to get back to being more athletic in the box, being more narrow, feeling like more of an athlete and being able to drive the ball. And that's been the biggest thing, was just getting in the weight room and working on back spinning the ball to all sides of the field. And it's come on pretty strong this season, but I still think there's a lot more in the tank that can be unlocked.
Clark LeClaire Stadium in East Carolina is, certainly a more of an offensive ballpark, and I know that's something that definitely excites you. And we'll dive more into that here in just a few minutes. But before we do so, Walter State, as we were also discussing pre-show, you guys have risen to #1 nationally.
Yes, sir. No, we're 49-6 right now, heading into the conference tournament. The conference tournament is actually also a regional, so you have to win the conference tournament to get to the super. And once you win super, or once you win the regional, you're in a 2 out of 3 series against a team who won the Georgia Junior College circuit to go to the Grand Junction.
Yeah, and Pitt County Community College, right there in Greenville, who's actually coached by East Carolina Hall of Famer Tommy Eason. That's what they've been to Grand Junction at least a time, if not multiple times, down through the years. A very successful program as well, and I'm sure at some point you'll get to know Coach Eason when you're in town. But going back to your recruitment by East Carolina, I know you've obviously talked to a number of the coaches on staff, head coach Cliff Godwin, recruiting coordinator Jeff Palumbo, and then also hitting coach Henry Lartigue, who had played for Coach Godwin down at Ole Miss, and also coached at Arkansas State. But tell us about that recruitment, and how quickly things progressed over these last 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes, sir. So one Monday, I was actually just finished class and I had a text message from Coach Palumbo being like, "Hey Jack, would you be interested in East Carolina?" And I was like, "Yes, I would very much be interested in East Carolina." And it happened pretty quick. We got on a call. We both clicked. I really just liked what he was talking about in the program and everything. And he ended up sending Coach Ortigue to our inner squad on Wednesday, and it went really well when he came to our inner squad.
And obviously, being #1 in the country and that type of record, and just the roster loaded with talent. And I know you mentioned, I think the first AB that Coach Lartigue saw, you left the yard on a 93 mile per hour fastball.
Yes, sir. No, I was first pitch at first inning, and yes, I turned on one.
So with Coach Palumbo, um, what were some of those selling points that really stood out to you, and things that, I mean, you're clearly very, very well aware of East Carolina because of your time at Cincinnati, and then seeing the Pirates on TV and regionals and super regionals over the last several years, and hosting a regional last year. So what were some of those main things that stood out to you that really appealed about being a Pirate?
Yes, sir. It was all about the culture. Coming from Walter State, I was talking to Coach Palumbo about it. I think I've only lost 20 games in 2 years. And East Carolina just felt like a lot of the same. Like, I wanted to go to a program where going to Omaha is like the expectation. Like, you should go into the year being like, we have the chance to go to Omaha, and not just go to Omaha, have a chance to win Omaha. And that was a big selling point on me. And I also just really liked how Coach Palumbo built a relationship with me. It wasn't like some of the other schools only just viewed me as the player, but he always kept talking about when we recruit, we just don't recruit the player, we also recruit the person, and I really liked how he talked about that as well.
Yeah, that's undoubtedly a big emphasis. Whether it's Cliff Godwin, Jeff Palumbo, pitching coach Austin Knight, Henry Lartigue, all the interviews that you hear with Pirate coaches, they're constantly stressing that, and just the importance of the culture and maintaining that culture, not just wanting to bring just any player in from the portal just because they're an excellent baseball player. And so that's definitely something, you know, over the time we've chatted this evening, and that stood out to me. Just yes sir, no sir, and the way you carry yourself.
Yes, sir. No, that was huge in me. I wanted to go into a program where people were hungry every day to get better, to win, and to also like have the opportunity to play professional. And then obviously the fan base, you can't beat it. Just like you said, watching it on super regionals and regionals, it's pretty awesome when you are able to see a crowd like that every game.
So let's just talk about positionally. I know a year ago you were a center fielder, and this year you've been on the corners. Where did Coach Palumbo and Coach Lartigue and staff say that they see you fitting in?
I think I'm a corner guy at the Division 1 level if I was making my bet.
Yeah. So corner outfielder, and then I'm sure potentially, depending on how things are unfolding there, obviously DH as well, with the way you swing the bat. And so kind of transitioning, going back to that background, you were talking about how much you love some of those Cincinnati Reds teams growing up, and you were naming specific players. Who is that one player or two that you really kind of maybe pattern your play after, or just you just love to watch growing up?
Yes, sir. My favorite player growing up was definitely Brandon Phillips when he was doing all the behind the back double plays, all the Gold Glove years at second base. But if I were to say like who I modeled my game more after, it would probably be Joey Votto. Just like the way he carried his at bats, how he never threw any of them away. He always made the pitcher come to him more than just swinging to swing, but just learning how to hit more than anything.
Yeah, I've actually had the chance to attend a few Reds games there at Great American Ballpark, as well as the old stadium, which I'm guessing you probably did not, given your age, but the old Riverfront Stadium
Yes,
with
sir.
the carpet turf. I had the chance to see the great Barry Bonds play there, and so that was a lot of fun. And then at Great American Ballpark, I saw them play the Diamondbacks when they had Chad Tracy, someone a name that you'll become familiar with, who played at East Carolina.
Mhm. Yes, sir. No, it's definitely a nice ballpark. The Reds, when I was growing up, we had a couple from the 2010 to 2015 years. They were really good. They haven't been as good since, but this year it seems like they're turning it around a little under Francona.
No doubt. And so outside of the Cincinnati Reds, or growing up, were there any other teams or players that you really followed? Perhaps going back even farther. I know during my childhood, just my dad, or perhaps you know my dad's friends exposing me to different players, and just watching old videos and so forth, and maybe guys that played before my time. Are there any guys like that that you really enjoy go back and watching those old videos? Excuse me.
Yes, sir. No, in Cincinnati, he actually died this past year. Pete Rose. He's always some guy that just a big red machine in general. You always watch. They always talk about just Charlie Hustle, that head first dives, playing every position, doing whatever it takes to win. Because he actually grew up in Cincinnati, so like he was the ultimate just underdog story. And I don't know if you watched the documentary at all, but his first spring training, like I think he was playing the Yankees, and he was like stealing bases in like the first game of spring training, and all the Yankees players were. It was when the Yankees had a bunch of Hall of Famers. Were like, "Who is this guy? He's given. We're gonna call him like, is this Charlie Hustle or something as a joke?" And that actually ended up sticking as his nickname.
Yeah, I have not seen that yet. Would definitely like to check it out. But yes, I was expecting uh, either a Pete Rose and or Johnny Bench answer. Of course, you have the Johnny Bench Award in college baseball, for the top catcher, and Jake Smith, who played at East Carolina about 20 years ago, won that Johnny Bench Award. I think it was 2006. Um, so, but yeah, a lot of tradition there in Cincinnati, and that's an organization that has had its struggles over the last few decades, but things are looking up, as you said. But outside of baseball, what are some of your hobbies? Let Pirate Nation know a little bit more about Jack Vogele.
Yes, sir. It's a lot of baseball. If I'm not watching baseball in the fall, I'll be watching Bengals football. I'm a diehard Bengals fan, but the two main things are I'm usually either hitting on my off time or I'm hanging out with my friends or just playing baseball. It's mainly baseball, Bengals, and hanging out with guys on the team.
How about any golf, fishing, hunting, anything of that nature?
I'm not. I think golfing messes up the baseball swing. I'm one of those guys, so I don't. I don't. I said I'll touch the golf clubs when I retire, but until then, I'm either hitting lefty or I'm not hitting golf balls. But I'm not a big fisher or hunter. It's always just been when I was in high school, I was either playing baseball or basketball. So it was always just been sports, 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 and that's the way I like it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was kind of me. I did fish a little bit, but not. That was more so. Before I started playing sports as much, and like you're saying, when you're committed to playing sports, or just attending games, it was tough to find the time to go fishing,
Yes,
or
sir.
or some of those other hobbies, and so that's something now I'm kind of picking back up, because that's one of the big interests of my son. But you know, outside of that, that's about all I have for you. I did want to mention, um, obviously, you have some of those just major baseball movies: Field of Dreams, Sandlot, Major League, several others. The Natural. Here in the next few days, they're going to be showing Field of Dreams at Clark LeClaire Stadium, a nice family event. Um, what are some of your top baseball movies?
Field of Dreams is actually probably my number one. I've always loved that one growing up. I love Major League. Probably Field of Dreams and all the major leagues are probably my two favorites.
Yeah, kind of a neat fact about Major League Two, John Gast, who was part of the East Carolina baseball program in the late '80s and early '90s, was he had a role in that movie. Not a huge role, but I'm trying to remember if he was the third baseman or what position he played. But I'll send you a couple of screenshots from that, with him sitting in the locker room. Wasn't it Tanaka, the Japanese player?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But Jack, we really appreciate the time. Very excited about you becoming a Pirate, and we look forward to covering you in 2026, and all the success is going to come to the purple and gold. Do you have anything as we wrap this up? A message for Pirate Nation?
Yes, sir. I'm excited to come and play for the Pirates. Definitely very excited for the opportunity.
No doubt. Pirate Nation, that is 2025 ECU baseball commit, the most recent commit for the Pirates, 6'3", 225-pound corner outfielder, and former Cincinnati Bearcat and now Walter State Senator, Jack Vogele. But that will do it for this edition of the show. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media at Jungle Tales Pod, and we'll talk to you soon. And as always, go Pirates.
Thank you for having me.